It's off to Leonard, defended by Simmons. Is this the dagger?
Hakeem Olajuwon's 1995 season, LeBron in 2018, and Michael Jordan's 1993 season are arguably the greatest individual years in NBA history. But Kawhi Leonard's 2019 season stands in a league of its own. He enraged the Spurs fans, then made the media and its experts look like fools.
Well, what I've watched the Toronto Raptors do, mainly led by Coach Nick Nurse and obviously the star player that is Kawhi Leonard, is make all of us, including myself, look like absolute positive idiots.
And the Raptors, who made a one-year gamble, were, by the end of the playoffs, wishing they had gambled more years. Kawhi Leonard in 2019 was everything but human. He was a hired assassin who took down dynasties, hit one of the greatest game winners ever, and carried an entire country to its first championship. But if you begin to look at the story of Kawhi's 2019 season from his debut game, then you'd be missing a lot of the key elements that made it so special. So, how did it all start? Did you know that the last time a franchise did a three-peat, winning the championship 3 consecutive times, it split up one of the NBA's greatest duos in Kobe and Shaq? And since then, there have only been 2 teams that have come close to a three-peat, the Miami Heat and the Warriors. And why did these 2 teams fail? Because of the claw. You see, Kawhi Leonard wasn't supposed to be this guy. He wasn't a 5-star recruit, and his personality didn't scream superstardom. So when the Indiana Pacers drafted him in 2011, they immediately shipped him to San Antonio. But under Greg Popovich and alongside Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, and Manu Ginobili, Kawhi absorbed everything. He wasn't just a role player, he was a sponge. At his peak with the Spurs, he averaged nearly 25 points and 7 rebounds while locking down some of the game's biggest names. Come 2014, he single-handedly locked down LeBron James so much so, he won the Finals MVP, all at the young age of 22.
The bottom line is it sparked the team and it came up with a big W on the road in Game 2. The basketball, and Tim Duncan straight up.
The future was bright, and there was so much he could achieve. But then came the injury, followed by the controversy during the 2017 Western Conference Finals against the Warriors. The mysterious quad injury sidelined him for nearly an entire season. And even when the Spurs medical staff cleared him, Kawhi refused to return. The rumors began, and some people concluded that the Spurs management was too rigid.
About this. You can talk to media all you want to. All the media did was report what was going on inside that locker room.
He kept saying they misdiagnosed his injury, remember?
Not just misdiagnosis, also Tony Parker and other players. And not only that, the belief is that they would not have ever approached him had it not been by, with Greg Popovich giving the okay.
Within months, Kawhi Leonard went from San Antonio's golden child to its biggest problem. Then, boom, he wanted out. Both the Spurs fans and the front office were enraged, but there was nothing they could do. According to ESPN, talks broke down because of certain people in Kawhi's group that wanted him moved to a bigger market. But besides all that, who would want a player with such drama on their team? This is a player who hadn't been fully healthy in 2 years, had no guarantees, and had no celebrity personality. Well, the Raptors took the risk. They rented him for 1 year. And to think, the Raptors gave away the franchise cornerstone DeMar DeRozan for a player who barely spoke, barely played the year before, and had no commitment past 1 season. It was a major gamble that was supposed to fail. Until Kawhi stepped on the court in a Raptors jersey. Once on the court, the Claw put the NBA world on notice. He averaged 26 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 steals, leading the Raptors to 58 wins. But there was this new thing Kawhi was pioneering in Toronto. It's called load management, and while some people blame it for the league's tanking US viewership, it served the Raptors well.
Lead since it was 63-61. Here's Walker, denied by Kawhi, the Claw!
Kawhi sat out 22 games, but when he played, he was a force of nature. His efficiency was unreal, and instead of burning out, he saved his energy, ensuring he hit his peak exactly when the stakes were highest. This was evident in the Raptors game versus Utah. Kawhi registered 45 points and displayed his versatility, from smooth deep shots, aggressive drives to the basket, to flawless free throws. His numbers weren't just good, they were historic. How historic? Well, Kawhi averaged 30.5 points per game in the playoffs. And since 1984, only 8 championship runs had a higher scoring average, all belonging to Michael Jordan, Prime Shaq, and Hakeem Olajuwon. But since 2000, no champion has outscored Kawhi. Not LeBron, not Kobe, not Durant, making Kawhi's 30.5 points per game the modern gold standard. Compare that to, say, Steph Curry's 22.6 points in their 2015 title run. That's Kawhi scoring 35% more points, all while guarding the other team's best player. And that's what he did throughout the playoffs that year, starting with the Orlando Magic. In Game 1, Kawhi lit up the scoreboard with a masterclass performance. 25 points, 5 rebounds, 2 blocks, and 2 steals. He played with the intensity of a young Olajuwon, and his lockdown defense smothered the Magic's best scorers, turning potential breakdowns into fast break opportunities.
January 31st. Leonard whittling inside, finishes, and the foul.
But in Game 2, he seemed to slow down a bit. Some of his shots started failing, and his usually impeccable timing misfired. Then, a critical turnover late in the game allowed Orlando to seize a lead, and they ended up losing 90-96. But that was only a minor setback, as Toronto went on to win the remaining games between the two. In round 2, the Raptors were up against Embiid's 76ers, and Kawhi exploded for 45 points with over 55% shooting efficiency. His drives to the basket were surgical, and his perimeter defense was relentless, forcing turnovers and igniting fast breaks.
The 2015-16 season, they lost to Cleveland in 6. Leonard! Bullseye!
However, in Game 3, Toronto suffered a slight setback. A crucial turnover in the dying minutes shifted momentum and allowed the Sixers to claw their way back into contention. The tension was palpable as the weight of that mistake hung in the air, with the Raptors losing 94-116, with Kawhi scoring 20 points. These two teams remained inseparable until Game 7. With the score deadlocked and time nearly expired, Kawhi produced a moment that will be etched in NBA lore, the first of its kind, a Game 7 buzzer beater.
It's off to Leonard, defended by Simmons. Is this the dagger?
His stat line for the series, highlighted by that historic shot, firmly placed him in the pantheon of clutch performers. Next was the Eastern Conference Finals versus the Milwaukee Bucks. By now, it was starting to seem like the impossible could be possible, but everybody still felt like Giannis would put an end to the claw. And at first, that happened. Down 0-2 against the Bucks, the Raptors needed a change going into Game 3. Giannis had to be stopped. And in one of the most audacious moves ever, Kawhi appointed himself to that task. It was a tactical masterstroke. Kawhi's defense forced turnovers and generated fast break points, all while maintaining a robust 36-point average on offense.
Leonard with the steal! And Leonard puts it in!
But by Game 4, the pressure crept in, allowing Giannis and the Bucks to dominate key stretches. Yet, true to form, Kawhi rebounded with his own blend of explosive offense and suffocating defense.
Middleton goes behind the back and lost it. Lowry with the steal. He has Giannis behind him, gets to Leonard. He stuffed a facial. Lowry finds Leonard for 3. Yes! got the hop.
What is going on with that corner for Kawhi Leonard?
And so, the stage was set. Could Kawhi Leonard cement his legacy in the NBA as a dynasty slayer? The 2019 NBA Finals was more than just another game. For Toronto, it was their first chance at winning the championship. But for Kawhi, it was revenge for the injury that Zaza Pachulia caused back in 2017. But it was more than just that. It would also send a message to the Spurs, who he said didn't believe in him. The first game kicked off on May 30th, 2019, with Kawhi scoring 14 points in the first half. He ended the game with 23 points, leading the Raptors to a 118-109 upset win. But his three-point shooting was off, and by Game 2, it was clearer, as he made only 3 out of 9 attempts. They lost Game 2 despite Kawhi scoring 34 points, including crucial baskets in the fourth quarter to keep the Raptors in the game. In Game 3, Kawhi exploded on the road, including a game-sealing three-pointer in the fourth quarter. A machine on both ends, his defense locked down key warriors, and he recorded 5 steals as Toronto came away with a 123-109 win. But Game 4 was when the world witnessed the full expression of the Kawhi-inator. With 36 points, 12 rebounds, and 4 steals, the Claw completely tore the Dubs apart. He was particularly dominant in the third quarter, scoring 17 points, hitting tough mid-range jumpers, and draining crucial threes. Yet, a missed free throw in the dying seconds nearly tipped the balance, but Toronto eventually got the win. In Game 5, Kawhi Leonard came close to sealing the series, but he missed a potential game-tying shot at the buzzer. Then, Golden State proved to be too much for Toronto, forcing a Game 6. But despite facing heavy pressure, Leonard managed 22 points while locking down Klay Thompson before his injury. And so, the impossible happened and Toronto became champions. Kawhi Leonard's 2019 season redefined excellence. First off, Kawhi's buzzer beater beats MJ's with a shot. His game score of 24.2 that year beats LeBron's best title run of 23.7 in 2016.
Of course, Kawhi Leonard is the best player in basketball, and it's about time people recognize it. He was the best. With a healthy KD, clearly Golden State would have won, and people would have mistakenly called KD better than Kawhi. Just like with a healthy KD, clearly they destroyed the Cavs last year, and some people mistakenly called KD better than LeBron. LeBron has the postseason to remind us that he's the best in the game usually, because he plays it safe during the regular season, takes his foot off the gas, doesn't spend himself because he knows the postseason's where it's at. He didn't make the playoffs this year. We won't see him again until the playoffs until he's almost 36 years old. Who knows? So the title's vacant. That's what I said to start the playoffs. Baton is down. Who wants to pick it up? Kawhi.
Also, he is the greatest hired assassin in the NBA ever. The previous top rental player by win shares was Mavericks' Tyson Chandler in 2011 at 2.7. Kawhi's 4.9 win shares means that he was worth as many wins as the other 2 top rental players in the 16 playoff team era combined. Also, only Magic Johnson, Moses Malone, and Kevin Durant have won Finals MVP in their first season with a new team in the NBA. But Kawhi's 4.9 win shares is the highest for any first-year player since 1984. But more shocking is the way he flipped the script on the Raptors' supposed gamble. You see, Kawhi owns 7 of the top 14 game scores in Raptors playoff history. And DeMar DeRozan, who they traded for him, has 6 of the 13 worst games in their playoff history. So with all this, it's clear that Kawhi's 2019 was everything but human. But can a human ever repeat that? Let us know in the comments. And back to the Claw, click on the video below to see what the legends are saying about Kawhi Leonard.